Hi guys, welcome to this session on Microsoft Word. In this module we're going to look at Word tables. So let's get straight into it and create a table. First of all, you go to the Insert tab and you can quickly create a table from this little drop down. So I'm going to create a 4-column 2-row table to start off with. And once you do that, you get the Design tab and the Layout tab, which help you manipulate your table. But before I do anything up there, I'm going to highlight this top line. I want to make that bold and center, and then grayscale, light grey. I could have done that up there, of course, and also you've got all these preset styles which you can select if you wish, but that'll do for me. Then I'm going to type first name, and you can see it comes in bold and centered. Now I press my tab key, surname, tab key again, department, tab key, and salary. Now when you type into these cells, as they're called, you can see on the ruler, if you've got your ruler active, which you should have, view ruler, you can see the markers for each of these columns there, and within each of these you have indents, right indent, left indent, and you can use this in the same way, the first line indent, as you can in a document. So basically these cells are like mini documents. If I click into that cell, you can see the indent and so on and so on. And if you want to know what the measurements are for these tables, you can hold your Alt key down and then press your left mouse button, and it will give you the measurements in centimeters for each of those cells. And if you do that on the row markers in the ruler down the left hand side, you'll see the same thing. But for now, let's just type some information in there. So if I type my name, Steve, tab, Saxton, let's pretend I'm in the sales department, and I get not a lot of money, 23,000. Now, rather than inserting a row, which I could do by hovering over the left side of the table and clicking plus, I'm just going to simply press the tab key and type the next person, Kevin Rule, who is in the retail department, and he's on less money than me, and then tab again for the last person, John tab Smith. He can be in sales and he can be on the same money as me. So every time you want to add a row at the end of a table, you can just simply press tab at the end and you'll create a row. If you wish to add a row in between, you can click that plus and you get a row in between. To insert a column, you can highlight a column or hover over a column, whichever way you do it, it doesn't really matter, but that will insert a column. I'm just going undo. You can also highlight the row yourself, right click, insert columns above, columns to the right, stuff like that. It's a bit of a long way round of doing it, because this new feature where you can just hover and create a column or row is obviously the quickest way. You have the same options on the Layout tab at the top, insert above and below, left and right, and they're all great. Whichever one you're used to is what you'll probably do. Now the first thing I want to do in this table is sort this list. Now on the Layout tab you have the sort option. Click sort and then you tell Microsoft Word what you want to sort by. So I'm going for surname, then if there's two surnames the same, department, if they're in the same department, salary. So you get a chance of 3 separate sorts there, all ascending, all text. Oh, that one's number, sorry. OK to that, and then it switches these around, so you get rule at the top, Saxton Smith. Now I also want to number these records, so if I highlight this whole table by clicking this cross in the top left corner, go home and 1, 2, 3, it puts numbers on everything, which I don't really want, so I'll just take that off. I want to just put the numbers on these 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. Now watch what happens if I decide to move. So highlight this record, the whole line, move John up 1. John becomes number 2 and Steve goes to number 3. Obviously I've now messed up the sort, but just trying to show you there that you can highlight these and move them, and the numbering moves with it. If it'll let me do it, I'll do it the other way. Seems to be playing up. Yeah, do it the other way. So we're back as we were before, sorted nice and neatly. Next thing is, if this table gets bigger, or as this table gets bigger, if I just hold my tab key down, there's a numbering coming down. But when I get onto the second page, you'll notice that there's no headers there. And if you had a document where you've got several pages of tables, there's no way of knowing what each column is. Now this is a very simple table, but if this was turned landscape, you could have more columns and it would be quite difficult to remember which column represented which column. So you do this. On layout, you go, well, first of all you click on the row that you want the headers to repeat, and then you click repeat header row. So if I scroll down there to the second page, you can see that the headers have now come onto this page, and they would be on any subsequent pages. So I'm just going to do Control Z to undo all that, go back to the original list, try not to go too far, that's it, back to my data. Next thing I want to do is insert a row above this top line so that I don't get the little plus symbol. So if I highlight the row, I can just go insert above there and it will give me a new row. Picks up the formatting from the one below, so it's grayscaled, it will be bold and centered. However, I want to merge this into one and use it as a title, so I've clicked merge. All those cells were highlighted, and I just want to type accounts, details, bold and centered. Next, I want to split this table. Having done it like that, I now decided I don't like that, so I want to create a split from this line upwards. So you select where you want the split to go from. So basically from the first name row, then split table will create you a gap, pressing enter a couple of times, and then I can do Control E to get in the center and Control U to underline that, and then type staff details for 2020 or something like that. So that's the basic table, and that's the basic design. And once you click into this table, you have these two tools to help you. So you could distribute rows, you can center across boxes, you can rotate text and stuff like that. These things allow you to resize the table. Obviously now I've split the table, I'm losing that one at the top, but I could reset that by pulling this one wider so it sits on the same sort of line. It's actually jumping back and forward slightly. So if you're going to resize the table, I do suggest that you do it before you split the table. I'll just do undo to that so we get it back as it was, so it's nice and neat. This option there allows you to select the whole table. Now if I come down a little bit below there is other options under the table feature, insert table. So that was that one. I could draw a table, so this is what I'm going to do now. So a little pencil, draw the outside parameter of a table, and then when you move your mouse from top to bottom, you create the rows, the columns rather, and then across from left to right you create the rows. You can do diagonals. If you go from corner to corner, you'll create a diagonal, and likewise the other way. And you can basically create almost any table you like there. Now if you go into design, you can play around with these borders. So let's have a quick look at this style and color. So it's not happening live while I'm selecting this, but if I either draw a line, so that's the style at the moment, if I draw a line, that will be on there, like whatever I selected there. If I select a cell, so let me take this pencil off because it's now becoming slightly irritating, so go and take that off. If I make a mistake, by the way, I can use this eraser to rub out a particular line, but I would like to put this back to a single line and black. So black, and then I can put a border on or borders, and then that will get rid of that one because I've just overwritten that with a straightforward black line. If I type my name, I've got the options on layout to center, top, bottom, middle, change the text direction around like so. I can sit into one of these cells and go to design, use the paint pot, pick a color in addition to the borders styles that you've got there. You can do this, so you can basically create almost any table type you would need to create, or recreate one if you was copying from a form. Now the other features in there are this. If I just create a single row, 3 columns, I've already mentioned that each of these cells has a indent, left indent, right indent, but it also has the ability to have tabs. So if I click a tab on at 2 centimeters in each of these cells, roughly 2 centimeters, doesn't really matter. I would have to go into tabs to set that exactly. What happens when you press tab, which is what you would normally do to jump from one cell to another, it doesn't go to the tab, it just creates another row and jumps from one cell to another. It doesn't go to the tab. To get it to go to the tab, you have to hold the control key down and press tab, and then it will stop, and then press tab again, jumps into the next one, control tab, it will stop, press tab again, jumps into the next one, control tab, it will stop, like so. That's how you have to do that if you wanted to use tabs within a table. Now if I just come out of that one, go back up to insert tables, you've got the option for an Excel spreadsheet. This is going to embed an Excel spreadsheet into a Word document. You are going to use more memory by doing this, but you do have some more functionality in terms of calculations. So if I just type some figures, and then I'm going to use the Alt equals key command to select that range, and then I'm going to press enter to give me that, and then I can click away, and that will be embedded into the Word document. And if I want to change that, I can just go back into that and maybe select that. Notice that the toolbar is the Excel toolbar, like so, then click away. That's one option, embedding an Excel spreadsheet and then using it for calculations. If I just do click on print for a minute to have a look, print preview, so it's going to look like. Go back. Now if I delete that out of the way for a minute, so we've got some space, the other option in there is quick tables, where you've got some pre-formatted tables that you can use as a starting point to create your own table. So these ones, or you might want a calendar or something like that. This calendar, which is not dynamic, so it's not picking up any dates, but you've got a calendar that you could utilize, and then I'm just going to undo that. So that's the basic tables. The next one I want to show you is if I go insert table, let's do a 3 by 3, and let's say I have sales amount. In fact, let's just move that. So move that into there. So I'm just dragging that into there. Let's have that customer sales amount and QTY quantity, and then I would like to insert a column at the end there, and then total will have. So if I say it's easy, it's the company, they spent £100, they bought 10 items, what I would like that to say is what is the total. So in Word, under layout, you do have a formula option formula which defaults to sum left, but in this case I don't want sum left. I want it to say column A, column B, column C. So this would be row 1, row 2, row 3. So this would be B2 times C2. So I type exactly that, B2 times C2. That's what I would like. Pick a number format, you don't need to, but I will pick that one and then click OK, and that comes up with the answer. Now if I have a second company, AMAC, and they spend £300, I've put the 0 on there, makes it look slightly better, and they were 5, I could copy this down, but it's not Excel. What it is Word, and you have to do this. I will copy it down with the control key, but I will need to edit that because the numbers are wrong, and it hasn't, as Excel would, hasn't changed these to 3 and 3. So that's what you would have to do, and then that changes that one, and then it's correct calculation. If I change the quantity to 100, that didn't change automatically. So what you have to do with Word, which is different again to Excel, is that you have to update fields. Now the key command to update fields in Word is the F9 function key. So I've pressed F9 and it updated fields. Now you can set that so it updates on print or output, but I don't like that. I'd rather do that manually, making sure everything's showing correctly before you print it off or email that. But that, guys, is a quick look at tables. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you on the next session.